शुक्र खुदा में रज़वी हो।
Allah Almighty is indeed the Creator, the Cherisher, the Sustainer. Everything is from Allah, and in reality everything is for Allah. Everything is from Allah, and in reality everything is for Allah. And there is no doubt that we belong to Allah and we will return to Allah. There is no doubt about that. Allah is the one and the only creator. He is Khaliq, He is Malik. Everything else in the dunya is a creation. Allah, Zat and His Sifat, Qadim, Azaliyun, Abadi. Everything else is Hadith, everything else is a creation. And the Creator created this entire kainat, this entire universe with the word kun. When Allah created the universe, it is with the word kun, be, fayakun, and it became. Be, one word, and the universe came into existence. It is something for you and I to think about, that Allah is your creator, Allah is your sustainer and mine and everybody's. Allah is the one who in the depths of the sea, beneath the sand and beneath that which you and I cannot see, gives sustenance to a creature that lives in it. Gives rizq to a creature that lives in it. And in the heights of a mountain where your eye cannot see, at that height, Almighty Allah by His divine grace gives sustenance to a worm inside a rock. Everything is alive because of Allah. He gives sustenance in the depths of the skies and the heights of the mountains. And by His divine grace, even Jibreel is alive. Everything is by the command of Allah. The sun rises in the east and it sets in the west by the command of Allah. The sun, we know these things. We're going back to the drawing board for understanding. The sun rises in the east and it sets in the west by the command of Allah. The sky is above you and the earth beneath by the command of Allah. Your ears, Allah gave you and I so that we may hear. Your eyes, Allah gave you and I so that we may see. But Allah is Qadir Mutlaq. If the Rabb wills, then your ears will see and your eyes will hear. Then your ears will see and your eyes will hear, because Allah has the qudrat to do this. Allah has the qudrat to do this. Allah Almighty created this entire creation. All of us are here for the ibadat of Allah. But Allah says to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, had I not created Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, I would have not created you and the entire creation. And I would have not made it apparent that I am the Rabb. Think about this, that everything in this dunya is created by Allah, but the soul of this entire creation is Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We all know this. We all know this. And we know that our return is in the court of Allah. We know that you are going to die one day. Soul is going to leave the body. The return is in the court of Allah. We know that this is something that you cannot in any way even doubt, because then you will not be a Muslim, right? But why is it? Why is it? This is the question. Why is it that after knowing all of this, that everything is by the will of Allah, one leaf doesn't fall without the will of Allah? Leave a leaf. The leaf, dur ki baat hai. Not one grain of sand moves from its place without the will of Allah. A grain of sand, a speck, an atom doesn't move without the will of Allah. And all of this Allah is saying, I created. Had I not created Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I would have not created nothing. Time to reflect and think that why is it that we are striving in the world to please everybody when we have to first please Allah's beloved Rasul? When we have to please Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because this kainat, Allah created it, but He created it in the honor of His beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What did Ustaz Zaman, Shahanshah Sukhan, Hazrat Maulana Hasan Raza radhiyallahu anhu say something very beautifully. He says that why did Allah create all this? And he says it in a poetic format. He says, Shab-e Asra ke दूल्हा पर निचावर होने वाली थी, नहीं तो क्या गरज थे इतने जानों के बनाने से. Allah created all of this because He wanted the universe to be sacrificed at the feet of His most beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I'm taking this discussion today very briefly for us to realize how important it is for us as Muslims to day and night remember that Allah is your Rabb, not just say it. To have full conviction, unless you don't, you're not a real Muslim. And to have in your heart the Rasul Akram Noori Mujassam sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that door by which you will enter the court of Allah. If you understand this, if I understand this, as we should, then why is it that we still follow what shaitan tells us? Whereas Allah is saying, Inna shaytana lil insani aduwwun mubin. Allah is saying, indeed, shaitan is your open enemy. Shaitan is your manifest enemy. But you still want to sit with your enemy. You say, no, I don't sit with my enemy. I don't ever sit with my enemy. If I know he is my enemy, I will stay far from him. But you want to sit with those who slander Allah's Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You want to sit with those who say that the Nabi is like you? The Nabi is not like you. He is not like me. Allah said, who is he? He is Allah's Rasul. He is the Rasul, we are the Ummah. You cannot be like him. Always remember, you say, I don't sit with my enemy, but you want to sit with the enemy of Allah. You want to sit with those who harm the deen of Allah. People are today looking for excuses. Looking for excuses for the Zionist. Looking for excuses to say that Israel shouldn't do this, but it has the right to do it. Nobody has the right to do this. Nobody has the right to do this. And always remember, this dunya and this zameen doesn't belong to anybody. This is not just anybody's property. This is all, in reality, the property and the gift to the court of Rasul, to the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Today, these Bad Mazhabs, they're writing entire essays to prove that Israel are the rightful occupiers. Rightful, the word occupier and then rightful. The word occupier and then rightful. They have no right. They have stolen that which belongs to the people. Somebody comes to your house, kicks you out, stays there, and then tells you when you go to get your house that you are attacking me. And it is my right now because I had stronger arms to kick you out. No matter what he says, it will never be his. This is your hal when it comes to your house. What about the house of the Palestinians? Do they have no haq? Do they have no right? The problem is that we have forgotten that the Ummah is one body. It is one body. When they feel taklif, you must feel taklif. We have forgotten that we will be risen in the court of Allah. We have forgotten that every week we are counting. We started off counting 5 and 10. Today we are counting more than 4,000 children martyred. What is the crime of children? What is the crime of children? What is the reason for all of this? This is, in the world's eyes, a dispute of land. In reality, it is the dispute of Iman and Kufr. The reason I'm discussing this again is for you and I to realize what is our direction in life. What should we be doing? What direction are we taking? After seeing what is happening there, has it made any difference in our lives? Is it making us a better Muslim? It is making us wake up and stand on the musalla every day? When you look at these things, it should be an example to change you. It should be an example to make you realize that this life is very short. The awliya Allah, the pious servants of Allah, the beloveds of Allah, why did they spend their entire lives distant from the vices of the dunya? Why? What was the reason for it? You look at the companions of the beloved Rasul, the Sahaba of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You look at the Taba'in, you look at the Tabi'in, you look at the A'immah Mujtahideen, you look at the Awliya Kamilin. What do you see? What do you see in them? You saw one very beautiful thing, which we cannot see in ourselves today. What can you see in them? You see that even though they lived in the dunya, they divorced themselves from the dunya. Can you not see that in all of them? They lived in the dunya and they did not allow the dunya to attach to them, nor did they attach themselves to the dunya, because they knew that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us that more valuable than this dunya is your akhirah. Okay? But the problem is we have attached ourselves so much to the dunya. We have attached ourselves and we have allowed it to attach itself to us. So much so that all a man sees is dunya, dunya, dunya. He forgets about uqbah. He forgets about his hereafter. He forgets about his qabr. Today, we lay our family members in their graves when they pass away. When you get home, you've even forgotten about it. What is the reason for this? The reason for this is because the dunya has sucked us in. It's drawn us in. And who has set this system that we are seeing today in the dunya? Who has set this? The West. Who is the one that is behind all of them? Shaitan. Think about it. By us falling for the traps of the dunya, are we not falling for the traps of shaitan? Are we not falling for the traps of shaitan? Why? Why? The question I must ask myself and ask, you should ask yourself. Why is one who is the servant of Rahman trying to follow the way of Shaitan? What is the reason for that? It's something that we need to think about. We need to realize that before we know it, our lives will come to an end. We will be 6 foot down. And there, when the angels come, none of them are going to come and say to me or to you, how many Mercedes Benz did you have in your garage? How many stories did you have in your building? How much of money did you have in your bank balance? They will not ask us that. They are not going to ask us that first. What they are going to ask us? About our Rabb, about our Deen, about our Rasul. But if we have everything in the dunya and we live without true faith and perfect faith in Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then what is going to be our condition in that grave? This is what I want to think for myself and for you. That we have seen so much happening in this year or two. Look at what happened during COVID. Look at how many people died. Do you know one of the signs of Qiyamah? Hazrat Sayyidina Imam Barzanji radiallahu anhu wrote that one of the signs of Qiyamah is that people will die in massive numbers. In huge numbers, and blood will be cheap. In other words, it will be nothing to kill. People will think nothing of it. Is it not happening? We can see it every day. And we've been seeing it often. But why is that even after seeing all this, we do not wake up from our slumber? We say we are very awake, we are very sharp. We are not awake. If we are awake, we would not be taking our children and our daughters dressed in the way of the kuffar and parading them on the streets. We would be teaching them that this is the way of Bibi Fatima, follow this. This is the way of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, follow this. This is the way of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Al-Jilani, follow this. But we are not doing it. A handful of people are doing it. And the reason we are not doing this is because the taste of the dunya has sweetened our tongues. The taste of the dunya has sweetened our hearts and our minds. But remember, this is that sweetness that only looks sweet. In reality, it is poison. It is temporary. It will go away. You will realize, and I will realize when we go into our graves. I'm going to end by saying this today. That Allah will question you and He will question me. And none can save himself from the grip, in inverted commas, of Allah. When Allah seizes you, nobody can come out. Till Allah doesn't leave you. Keep this word in your mind. Keep this word in your mind. Every time that you and I think of doing haram, guna, remember, when Allah seizes you, nobody will be able to release you. Think about this. Think about our lives and think about our akhirat. Then only you will see what is happening in Palestine. Then only you will see what is happening everywhere else in the world. If you don't think positively about the realities, it will not happen. Allah keep us with iman. Let us leave the world with iman. Those who are ill, Allah grant them shifa. Those that have passed away, Ahlul Sunnah, Allah exalt them in Jannat al-Na'im. Today was not much of a lengthy lecture, but more nasihat to myself and to you, so that we rectify ourselves. And remember, when Allah gave us everything, why should we do what others tell us to do? Do everything to please Allah, and the best way to please Allah is through Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah keep us with iman, just leave the world with iman. As I said, those who are ill, Allah grant them shifa. Those who have passed away, Allah exalt them in Jannat al-Na'im. Those who are going through calamities in their homes and their families, Allah eradicate their calamities. And special dua for the Muslims of Palestine, for the people of Palestine. Allah shower His mercy upon them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect their lives and their wealth and their honor and their family and their properties. And may Allah destroy those who are unjustly causing them taklif. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give strength to the Muslims throughout the dunya. And may Allah give us strength in our iman. And in our iman, if there is strength, then there will be strength in our dua. The most powerful weapon of a believer is dua. Is dua. But if you don't care whether you eat haram or halal, how is the dua going to be kabul? You have the weapon. We have the weapon, it is dua. Why is it not working? You're not putting in the right ammunition. It's piety. It's abstention from sin. It's abstention from haram. It's abstention from guna. Then you will see the color of your dua in the court of Almighty. That's the problem. May Allah allow us tawfiq to understand this. Keep us with iman. Let us leave this world with iman.